everybody in the Meade County area, Fort Knox and Radcliffe. We're so glad to be back. We have a special guest on the show today. His name is Greg Beavin, and he is with Farm Bureau Insurance right here in Meade County. And I got to tell you, Greg, I'm super excited to have you on the show today. I have been looking up Farm Bureau Insurance, and I cannot tell you how many good news stories are out there regarding the agents that serve under Farm Bureau Insurance and the activity that they do that seems above and beyond the job.
Yeah, Stephen, I've lived that for 50 years, and it's always good to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, to your point, why did you get started with the Farm Bureau Insurance?
Well, it's a very interesting story, actually. I started out of college with a big life insurance company, worked there for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I had some moderate success, so I was contacted by Farm Bureau as to whether or not I'd be interested in going in to work for them. And I was, from the standpoint that I was previously selling just life insurance products only, but I wanted that full service. I wanted a company that could provide the life, property, and casualty all together. So that was the initial draw for me entertaining a career with Farm Bureau.
So when you graduated college, not telling on your age, but this was 50 years ago.
Yes.
So I'm going to assume that you're 50, almost 70. So you did it at 19.
Yeah, I'm 74, and I
Okay.
started and.
I was trying to make you younger.
Yeah, that's okay. It's all right. That doesn't work. I've tried that. So.
God won't let us go back.
But I started in insurance business in 70. That's when I graduated from college.
Okay.
And then...
Are you a Kentucky college graduate, or where did you graduate?
Yeah, Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green. Yes.
A lot of Western Kentuckies. I got Hannah is actually leaving us. She's getting ready to prep for law school.
Oh, really?
And she's been a tremendous asset, obviously, for the Messenger, as you know. And so we're actually seeing her off this Friday, and she's looking for her options back either Western or in Louisville for law school to go back. But she's a Western Kentucky graduate.
Well, I've got 4 kids and 13 grandkids. A lot of them have been through college, and only one went to Western. So I don't know what I did to disrupt that. But anyway.
Yeah, maybe they didn't like Bowling Green. Who knows?
It could be.
So you began 50 years ago. Your career began, but what drew you to Farm Bureau? You said it was a little. You looked into it. You were selling life insurance, so the life insurance or the insurance business, at least with a couple years under your belt. What was the draw with Farm Bureau?
Well, I thought then I could do the full program. I could take care of the life insurance needs, and then their daily needs of property and casualty. Life insurance, the needs don't occur but once generally during their life, of course, and with other service issues involved with that. Yeah. But with the property and casualty, I could protect their home and their automobiles and health insurance products and so forth and whatever. And that's what kind of drew me. And it was a local town opportunity here to come back, actually, and not only I've lived here all my life, but not only to do that, but to work here all my life as well. And the interesting part about that career is that I had agreed to go to work with them in March of 74. And you know what happened in April of 74? Yeah. That's when the tornado hit.
Big tornado hit.
So I'd been here 30 days when that hit. So I got firsthand knowledge of what I was looking for in my career, and that was to provide services to people when catastrophic events occurred. And it obviously I was lucky I didn't lose my wife and son that day, because she and my son John was in her womb on her ninth month of pregnancy, her last day of work, and she worked at the courthouse, and that tornado went across the courthouse, took the top of it off. Luckily, Jim Greer had everybody get into the walk-in vault, which kind of saved their lives. So she got 6 baby blankets that day, and all 6 of them covered some of the dead in downtown Brandenburg as they were carried out. So that's kind of how I got started in my career, and I learned firsthand the importance of service to people.
Yeah, and like I said when we were opening, I saw so many videos in their commercialization and stuff, because Kentucky is in that, not just where we got hit in Brandenburg in the April of 74, but across Kentucky, even in the last few years, we've had some catastrophic incidences that have occurred and have taken out towns. And to rebuild that process, and knowing that you have an insurance agent there, it's like even for me, moving around so many years in the military and then, planting roots here, that's one of the reasons why I planted roots here is because this is very much the community that you dream about in America, where people are willing to row and help one another, love thy neighbor, right? Like right out of the Bible.
Sure.
And you feel that when you come here. But you don't just feel that as a neighbor, you feel that from the businesses too. They really go out of their way. I can only imagine that if that was your first experience in your first couple of years in the Farm Bureau insurance business, how much that may have connected you even more, even though you grew up here, but how much that may have influenced your commitment to this industry.
Yeah, no question about that. There's still connections with that storm. However, probably the most significant part of my career and since that day was not necessarily the catastrophic events. We have those. We'll continue to have them, and they're very significant. But really to that one insured, I just got a call before I got here today about a little incident that occurred in their auto. And to them, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
They were wanting to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do that. So we're able to provide that with a phone call and to get them started. So we take, and I always tell my staff, it may seem remedial to us, but it's not to them. That's their claim. That's their issue. That's their problem. Let's help them solve it.
Yeah, well, and especially nobody's running around in their vehicle trying to have accidents every day. So when they do happen, it's a shaky experience.
Yeah, it can be dramatic.
And it can be traumatic as well. So could you discuss the highlight of your career? Like what is it that in 50 years of doing this, because you're about to let this go to John, right? And you said when, June or July?
1st of July.
1st of July, that's it. Independence Day.
Free
at last.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not looking very forward to that.
Okay.
I'm not really ready to retire, but there comes a time when you think you better get the transition started.
Sure.
You don't want something to happen that throws it into a quagmire because you weren't prepared. So we've been preparing for this about a year.
Okay.
But when you speak of highlights, a lot of things during my career, but I think the significant thing from a personal standpoint and a business standpoint, and I just mentioned John, lucky to have him after the tornado in '74, but after about 20-some years in my office in Brandenburg, then John, when he graduated from the University of Kentucky, he became a licensed insurance agent, and I hired him here. And then a year or so after that, we built our satellite office in Flaherty. So to be able to have your son that you love and you live with every day during those years, to come into business with you and to help you promote that business and to see the success that he's had, that's certainly been the highlight, certainly one of the highlights. Yeah,
well, family's important to me too. I can only imagine if one of my sons decide or my daughter decides to get involved in all of this that's going on now. I set out a goal to make this a community paper. And bring it to that status again, where if you want to find out what's going on in Meade County or who's supporting who, you find out from the messenger. That's my ultimate goal, and I've shared that with the Pastoral Ministerial Association and stuff, and my strong Christian belief in making sure that we are building the kingdom of God, and using this opportunity and not wasting it, right? I mean, you got to pay the bills and you got to put lights on, but there's a lot more to owning a business in a place like Meade County, and it's about community. I can say that ever since I've been in Meade County and retired here, I always hear about the Farm Bureau. It's either the Farm Bureau building at the fairgrounds, or it's the Farm Bureau this or the Farm Bureau that, because of the farming community that we have. But Farm Bureau was not just built for the farming community. It's built for the average person every day. And like you said, you have automobile, you have homeowners insurance, the life insurance. But there's more to the portfolio in that than just those things that you hear about on national television all the time. Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance has a whole plethora of platforms that you can help in almost every situation. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, the corporate goal of Kentucky Farm Bureau over the years has always been built on grassroots. And we always felt that our strength from the corporate level comes from the strength at our local level.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we forget that in corporate America.
Yeah.
We take our customers for granted. You do it our way instead of us listening to you. So we have the opportunity in every county. Obviously, we have here. People know us. We know them. We go to church with them, we play with them, we cry with them, and so forth. And we know them, and they depend on us, but we depend on them. That's built my career over the years, and so it's very, very significant. I think that's the strength of our company. You know, I don't. Our logo is 24/7, and that is true. I get calls 7 days a week, different hours. I had a guy call me one time at 4 o'clock in the morning and says, "Hope I didn't wake you up." I said, "No, not a problem. I had to get up and answer the phone anyway." That's back when he had the phone like that.
Sure.
So I think that's the strength of Farm Bureau. It starts from the grassroots of the people that we serve, and then with our success there, then the corporate level obviously takes care of itself.
Yeah. You know, the sad side of insurance too is that, you know, we have a time limit while we're on this earth, and you build those relationships. I can only imagine that emotionally over time, as connected as you get to your clients, and when they actually have to, when their children or somebody has to fulfill the policies and stuff, I can only imagine my service in the military and having been involved in recruitment, and you recruit somebody and they go off to serve, and you know, they come back, and sometimes they don't come back. And that connection that you have over time, it's a lifelong relationship. I mean, you're practically like family at that point, and it's trying. Could imagine, it was for me spiritually. I can only imagine what it is for you, knowing that you serve that way.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that, Stephen, because, of course, you're aware of the fact that I do ministry. I'm an ordained deacon in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And by the virtue of that, I do a lot of funerals.
Yeah.
A lot of funerals. And I guess in the last 4 or 5 years, it's really kind of dawned on me. I'm doing services for the guys that I went to school with and worked with and played with, and clients.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. It's a humbling experience to know that you serve those people in one way, but you have the opportunity to serve them in another, and that closeness that we have. That gets back to the grassroots. Yeah,
and in any business, I think you're right. They get lost in corporate America, and they forget the grassroots. And I think that's a lot of what we probably deal with, the problem-wise, in our nation. That's why I like to help be more localized, I think, as we communicate to people, especially for our businesses. I want to help communicate that too for a lot of our businesses, much like you. But the Farm Bureau does an amazing job at doing that. And you and John are doing awesome. Based on your legacy alone, speaks for itself.
Thank you.
But you know, what do you see as the strength of your agency serving in the next 10 years as the way the county is growing and the development opportunities are growing in the county, and we are getting a lot more people that didn't grow up and weren't raised in Meade County, and we're probably going to see more of that over the next 10 years. I know Judge talks about, you know, we need to be looking at infrastructure for the next, 50 years, not just, small Band-Aids. So he's really been working hard at focusing on what we look like 30 years down the road, and making sure we're not just doing little fixes that are going to be bigger problems later down the road. But you see this growth. So how do you see Farm Bureau, just continuing to drive with that community aspect to help keep the community together with a lot of our folks that didn't grow up here?
You know, it's an interesting question. We see a lot of technology change, obviously, over the years. It's way ahead of me at this point in time. And so many times we get back to corporate, their model of marketing would be that we'll do this from a corporate level. We'll do it on internet, we'll do it email, we'll do it in ways that we don't have direct contact with customers. We really get a lot of feedback from that, from the people that we deal with. Matter of fact, this recent storm, I can't tell you the number of people that come in and says, I just want to talk to somebody.
That's it.
And I think our strength has always been in our agency, and it's always been one of my models for my goal is to be well-staffed, have staff that and I always tell them, when someone walks in that door, if we've got 4 people working that day, I want everyone to look at them. Now, they may be on the phone, they may be tied up, but let that eye contact let them know you're important that you walked in this door, and then treat them that way.
Yes, sir.
And if they come in and they have an issue or something, our goal, and they leave, they understand, and they have the comfort of knowing they've got a person they can talk with. I hate to see that marketing model change. I don't think it will with Farm Bureau. We will still have that personal contact with our customers, even though we use technology.
Well, you know me, my background is marketing, and while we are touching the digital, and I maximize the opportunity to use the studio to hit our social media, and And like you said, if the meaningful conversation is good enough, they'll listen to the whole thing, right? But as long as they get the touch points or whatever, they'll still view it digitally, but there's still nothing like a paper in your hand.
Well, that's true. And if nothing else, it's a person that'll answer the phone in person.
That's right.
And not put you to somebody else.
Yeah.
1-800. And I'm not saying those things are functional, and we do need them. But I think in these small local communities particularly, our marketing plan is to try to be as personal and as firsthand as possible. And we still use the technology along with it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to use technology.
Sure.
You have to change with the times. But to your point, I 100% agree. Shaking somebody's hand and talking to them in person is equally as important as your ability to get in touch with them on the phone. That holds more value to me than anything in the world. And I think that's great that your agency still holds those values. And eye contact.
Right.
General eye contact. I teach this to my children. They're very young. And if you're going to talk to somebody, look them in the eye and don't mumble under your breath and all that other stuff. Look them and give them an answer or communicate with them, but don't look all sour, pouty, and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when we hire people, that's one of the things I look at is to see how good eye contact they have.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid technology takes that away. There's a sensitivity to that iPhone that is to people.
Yeah.
And we've got to kind of break that habit sometime.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. We need to teach people how to have a conversation again.
Sure.
And sometimes conversations aren't easy. You got to have a conversation that you can communicate what you don't like and what you do like. But you don't need to walk away with, I think, a negative energy of like, much like you see in politics in the United States today, where it's like everybody wants to throw down. I'm like, we can disagree or we can agree, but it's so different in today's society because of technology has put head down and face planted in. I couldn't have said that any better than what you just did. But
well, and I would like to plug in, I have been so blessed. If I've done anything right in my career, is to hire good people and to hire good staff people.
They're wonderful. I've never had when I've gone over there to either talk to you or John or walk in there, exactly what you just said. And I was visualizing the first time I had come in there, and that was exactly how they did. They looked me in the eye and said, "Oh, well, hello, how can I help you?"
Occasionally I'll answer the phone.
Yeah.
And you would be surprised to say, "Oh, it's you. Can I talk to one of the girls?"
Yeah.
So, but that's a testament to them. They do such a good job. They service our people, and I'm welcoming them to do that because they're more technically minded than I am many times. That's not my job, technically speaking, to do all the detail work. That's what they're qualified for.
There you go. Yeah. You're in a strategic position.
Right.
I can understand that, running the paper too. So what is the biggest thing that you want the listeners of the Messenger to know about Farm Bureau Insurance and how you can service their needs in our county?
I think it goes back to what we had talked about before, grassroots. Listen, our phones, we always answer our phones. We're available after hours. You can call us. I've got, of course, myself. I won't be there long, but you have John. We have Jacob Bewley, we have Gina Turner. They're great agents. They're well known in the community. They've all lived in this community. So we answer the phone at home. We've got our iPhones, and if you have a problem, call us. I can't tell you the number of times on weekends there's claims of house fire, whatever. We'll be there with them, not having to wait for an adjuster to give them some guidance and so forth. But certainly I think that's our biggest strength, and that's what we need to continue to. We continue to need to keep that connection with those people.
Yeah.
And there will be a lot of things to change. It has over the years, but that can't change. And I think I would put my staff up against any staff we have in Farm Bureau in the state. Just because we keep track of our persistency of customers we have from one year to the next.
Yeah.
And we rank in the top 1 or 2 in the state. And we got about 175 agencies. So that tells me our customers are doing what we want them to do, and that's stay connected with that grassroots.
Very good. So I'm going to bring in the military on this. I know for a military perspective, I've had to move around so many times, and every time you go to a new state, it's like, well, your insurance isn't any good here anymore. And I've had one of the bigger insurance, national, and it's like starting over a whole new policy every time I go over, and then my years drop off that I've been a member with that company. I'm like, No, I've been with you for 20 years. No, you just started a new policy where you've only been there with us for a year in this state or that state. And I'm like, no, I've been with you for 20. Y'all made me start a new policy because I moved states. That's not my fault. You know, do you service the military or are you only in Kentucky?
Well, we are licensed to do business in the state of Kentucky. And we service the military in Kentucky.
Okay.
But, right. Insurance companies have to be licensed in different areas, particularly states. And we're just licensed in the state of Kentucky. We're what's called a regional insurance company.
Okay. Well, this is what I would say to my military brethren that are out there that are retiring in the area. You've got to get in touch with John Beavin or Greg Beavin before he retires. And you need to go sit down and talk to them because there is nothing better than having an agent that when you pick up the phone and say, hey, I need to look at, the rates or I need to figure out what I can do, and having somebody that actually takes the time to go through that process with you, whether you're a business, whether you're looking at adjusting because you're going to retire in the area, or you've already been here and just didn't know that this type of agency exists. Because I belong to, and many of you in the military community know that they're out there as you move around and you get married to one group. After a while, you'll realize that they're not serving your best interests. They're very much nationalized and very corporate. If you want a grassroots company that's going to service you, and I don't even care if it's a difference in price, cost versus price. Zig Ziglar said that a long time ago. Right. You know, you can buy a Huffy and put another $100 into it, or you could have just bought the Schwinn for $100 and had a bike that lasted you a lifetime. And the service that you want to receive from that product says everything about what you get when you invest in a product that services you well. You don't ever want to need to use the insurance, but it's nice to know that you have it. And it's also nice to know that you have the support that comes with it. And I speak from personal experience on that. And so I think that the job you guys are doing there at Farm Bureau is amazing. And I think that if you're a local citizen here in Meade County and you're not happy with your insurance provider, you should definitely give Meade County's Farm Bureau Insurance Agency a call and talk to Greg or John about, or your other agents.
Or Gina or Jacob, yes, absolutely.
Any one of them, and they'll give you a great opportunity to sit down and talk to them and give them the opportunity, because I think you'll come to find the relationship starts right there on day one when you're entered and greeted at the door.
Well, the number one thing, we want to do what's right for them, not necessarily what's right for us.
Yep.
If we do that, and it is right for them, they'll stay with us. If it's not, they're going to soon find that it isn't. So we try to be honest in both ways.
Yeah. Well, final thoughts.
Yes.
What are your final thoughts that you like besides what I've included for our residents of Meade County?
Well, my final thoughts was, particularly after 50 years of being serving in this community here, is to thank those people that we have had the opportunity to serve. Yeah. Of course, my first thought is to thank God that He's put me here to be able to serve and do that, and to have a good career, to be financially sound and to raise my family. And it would not have been possible had it not been for our customers. And so we appreciate that very much. Yeah. Of course, I thank the staff that's worked with us over the years. I've had one that retired last year, been with us 30 years. We've had some 25-year retirees, so they don't come and go. So that's a testament. Big thanks to them, and I'll miss them, and I've always appreciated the work they've done. That's a testament to the type of work environment you create, too. It's very important. I've never thought myself as their boss. I thought I'm just their leader. Yeah. And so we try to work that way. Sounds like you are a servant leader. Well, we have to be, I think. Sure, absolutely. Yeah. That's the best kind of leader you can be. You do that in the marketing business. Church, too, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Greg, I appreciate your time here on the show. Folks, I just want to say thank you for tuning into this episode. I encourage you to get out there and get to know, as I continue to promote and help promote our small businesses, and not only our small businesses, but to Farm Bureau Insurance. They do so much for our county that you don't know. They contribute to a lot of organizations that the schools organizations, the fair. I mean, there's just so much that's going on, and
you know, in time, we will build the trust back in the community. I hope that we do. But the Messenger is the place that you go to find out what's going on and who's doing what and what these great organizations are doing, both for-profit and not-for-profit. And as long as I'm here, I hope to bring them up and lift them up, every day. I will throw out a feeder. The Messenger is hiring writers. We have expanded into Fort Knox and Radcliffe. And oh, by the way, our papers flew off the shelves at Fort Knox. We delivered 400 papers and they're all gone. I delivered on Thursday and they were gone by Monday. So 400 of our extended reach just flew off the shelves. So another great opportunity for the Messenger and to communicate the great things that are going on within our Meade County and surrounding neighbors. So Greg, thanks for being on the show tonight, and to everybody out there. I just want to say, we've always got something going on here at the Messenger. If you're interested in writing for us, please reach out to us at mcmeditor@meadecountyky.com, mcmeditor@meadecountyky.com, and you can drop us a note there, or you can reach out to us and message us on social media at Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, any of those platforms that you're on. If you're watching this either from our website or one of these social media platforms today, just hit us up. If you got any questions, that's another good way to reach us as well. So we'll